Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Stacks here, checking out Guardians of the Galaxy number 11, and because I completely missed it last month, I've got it, I read it, I didn't do a video on it just because of lack of time. I'm going to go ahead and fit in Guardians of the Galaxy number 10 here. I'm going to go through it pretty quick and just hit the real high points and everything you need to know. So if you've been following my playlist on Guardians of the Galaxy that I picked up back with Donny Cates, picked up the series, so you're not missing out of it in the playlist, kind of stays together and makes sense. Guardians of the Galaxy number 10 is your typical 3-part story with a cliffhanger at the end. It's perfect for a comic book, and I always love it. The first act basically focuses on the Magus and what happened to him after the events of Infinity Wars when he was entrusted to Gamora. He was resurrected, he came back as a child, and him and Gamora basically just couldn't get along. After several months, they decided to take her to a place where that could better nurture his, what he calls, darker impulse. Now, where they ended up taking him was a place called the Order of the Healing Truth, and this is a bunch of people who survived the former Universal Church of Truth, and their whole gig is they're trying to help people that have encountered the Church of Truth and had issues with it, been hurt by it, that kind of thing. Well, these people took him in, and then seeing him as a threat and part of the problem or the harm that had come to the world, they turned on him and tried to come in his room at night when he's sleeping and tried to murder him. And he's trying to explain to them he's not that way anymore. And basically, by doing this, they help create this monster that they'd always feared. They created the Magus in this evil form, and it was there on the steps of this flaming temple that the monsters came. These beasts that to him actually ended up being companions and pets to him. From there, we break into the second act where Moondragon and Raccoon and Groot are all basically discussing what's going on with the Universal Church of Truth, discussing with the Magus what's happening, and trying to find out if they can trust him or not. Long story short here is that they all agree that they need Magus' help. They ask him, he agrees to it. They get up to leave, and Rocket basically goes to stand up and almost passes out. Well, he does pass out. Groot manages to catch him, but very faintly, Rocket's having to tell him, my suit outside, you got to get me back inside of it, hurry. So Groot rushes outside and puts him back in this mech suit, and we find out that the mech suit is basically a life support system that has been keeping Rocket alive all this time. From there, we jump to the Cathedral, the ship of the Universal Church of Truth, where Drax the Destroyer, the old school Destroyer, not the Marvel MCU Destroyer, has been resurrected. And Peter Quill is like, Drax, is it really you? Is it the same Drax that I know? Well, and Drax makes it very clear that he's not the Arthur Douglas Drax. He grabs Peter Quill, throws him down these temple stairs into the middle of all these other Drax cocoons. They begin to open up and start just attacking Peter Quill, and Jason looks down on him. This is Peter's dad, and says, tear him apart. And they're doing it. They're working on tearing Peter Quill apart. Lucky for Star-Lord, suddenly like a psychic blast just hits everybody. Hits every single one of the Drax replicas, hits Jason, and Star-Lord's just sitting there like, do I have powers? And that's when over the intercom, suddenly you get this voice. Good evening, creepy cold. It's your imminent doom speaking. We interrupt your daily sermon to bring you a choice. Release our friends and go home, or prepare to be boarded and have your minds ooze out your ears. And Peter's just like, oh yeah, that voice. Jason grabs the mic and demands who the heck it is. Identify yourself. This is Starship Bowie. Over and out, right as Rocket drives Starship Bowie right into the side of the cathedral, right into this room full of all these Drax clones, steps out in his mech suit with the Magus, with Moondragon, with Groot, and Jason's just sitting there in the rubble, and what do you expect to accomplish with this stunt? What do you expect me to do? Just give up? And Magus looks at him and says, not yet, but soon. I believe I'd see you bow. And that's where we pick up with Guardians of the Galaxy number 11. Raccoon in the mech suit, just dealing out freaking ammo one round at a time to all these Drax clones. And he's like, what kind of death cult? What Drax is that? So Rocket's already got Drax's hanging from his arms. Magus is kind of panicked, saying there are too many of them. He can't control all of them. And Moondragon, just in the middle of all this, walks up to one of them and stops him midair. So as this Drax clone is coming to attack her, she holds up her hand and stops him and reads his mind just to make sure that it's not her father in there. And once she realizes it isn't, she says, that's going to make this a lot easier. And it does, because she releases hellfire and brimstone from her dragons. Jason tries to make a break for it, but two of his guards end up meeting him at the door and telling him, I'm afraid not, Jason. And as he turns around, it's the Magus saying, we need to talk. And he just blasts Jason through a wall. While that's going on, the rest of the fight, Moondragon and Rocket are taking it to the army of Draxes so that Peter, Quill, and Groot can make a break for it and go try to free the rest of the team. Back with Magus, he's choking Jason, and he's blaming him for the situation that the Magus is in, that he's lonely, he's all the pain that the church has caused, so much death, it's because of you, all because of you. He sit there telling him, you did all this, and you did it in my name, and I'm hunted and feared and hated, and I am alone, and it's because of you. And right as he tells Jason, it ends now, he gets blasted from behind. And Jason, laying there recovering, says, do you see what befalls the faithless? How can you expect to win when the entire galaxy is against you? And just as every single Marvel cosmic entity is walking at them, Beta Ray Bill with Peter Quill and Groot just laid out over his shoulders, like he didn't have enough to worry about, suddenly he's blasted from behind by Phyla Vale. It's at that point that Moondragon and Rocket fight their way into the room. Moondragon just blasts Phyla Vale and Lockjaw with Dragon Fire. And it's on from there. The mech is still getting just torn apart by these Drax clones. And that's when suddenly Beta Ray Bill just shucks Stormbreaker. And he puts it right through the cockpit of Rocket's mech. Absolutely just rips this thing in half, and this thing was the only thing keeping Rocket alive, and Peter sees it and just screams, Rocket! And it's with the fall of Rocket that suddenly it's just the fight is gone. Groot's down, Peter's down, and everyone is just standing there. I mean, that's it. And Jason sits there and says, look, that breaks my heart, Peter. I truly didn't want this for you, but this quest is almost over. And the ship, the Cathedral, approaches Earth with their plan to basically take most of the life energy from Earth to power their warp engines so that they can defeat death. And Peter's still, this is Earth. Somebody will stop you. The X-Men, the Avengers, somebody will stop you. And Jason just retorts, you mean like the Nova Corps or the Guardians of the Galaxy, how they stopped us? Our engines remove the will to live, Peter, and the people of Earth will give us theirs as all others have. Guards, take him away, prepare him for conversion, and start with Gamora. And they just drag Peter down the hallway. It's at that point that everybody kind of clears the room, and you have all these little Groots that you've been seeing throughout this storyline ever since Groot came back. You've been seeing these itty bitty, branch offs of Groot, and well, they charge into where Rocket fell, and they rip him out of the mech. They rip open one of the escape hatch doors, they pry it open, and they pull him out. And the mech is sitting there with an alarm going off, going, warning, catastrophic life support failure imminent. And these little dudes help him get up, they help him get off the ground, and then they actually bring his rifle over to him. And with this buzzer going off in the background, warning, catastrophic life support failure. Rocket just goes strolling down this hallway, following Jason and all his mind control minions, and he's like, guess we better hurry. And with that, we head to Guardians of the Galaxy number 12, which is going to be Donny Cates' last issue on the book. After that, I think they're going to restart it, probably go back to number 1, because that's what they do, and they're going to give it to the immortal Hulk rider, Al Ewing. So what do I think as far as recommendations? Absolutely go pick this up. This is going to deliver. Donny Cates has been hitting on all cylinders. This has been a great series starting at 1. I highly recommend going back if you haven't and checking out my playlist on it, because I think I did just about every a video on every single one, except for maybe I combined a couple of them like I'm doing here with 10 and 11. Yeah, it ties directly into the origins of Silver Surfer Black. If you read that and were wondering, well, why is he in a black hole? Go check it out. It explains everything right there, what happened. Now, as far as art in this one, I think most of the art is good. There's some issues there. Like Peter Quill's jaw, for some reason, looks all ganked up at one point. But for the most part, I think the art's been really good from this. I think Cory Smith has done a really good job. He took over after Jeff Shaw left, and I think Jeff Shaw's actually supposed to be back for number 12. But I've enjoyed both of their art styles. I like the way Cory Smith basically was able to pick up right afterwards with Jeff Shaw, and there wasn't a shock to your system because the art was so different. You know what I mean? He did a good job of carrying the same style forward under his hand. So walking away from it, this is absolutely, definitely a recommend. Go pick up this book and go ahead and put number 12 on your pull list. Donny Cates is closing out his run on Guardians of the Galaxy, and no furry animal is safe. The dogs aren't safe. The raccoons aren't safe. No animal being. I bet Beta Ray Bill ain't safe because he's kind of horse-like and it's an animal. Donny Cates did stick to dogs at first, but now he's branching out. He's going to just kill all the animals. Anyways, guys, it's way too late here. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, guys, I really appreciate it. Leave a like. It helps draw more attention to the channel. Helps us get in front of more viewers and helps the channel grow. And finally, leave a comment down below. Have you checked out Donny Cates' Guardians of the Galaxy? Are you enjoying it? And are you looking forward to his run on Thor that I believe starts in January? Tell me what you think in the comments below, guys. I sincerely appreciate you watching. That's all I got. Real Comic Stacks out.